Have you ever wondered if it was possible to reverse the effects of rust on iron metal? Rust is a form of iron oxide, and rust occurs when a piece of iron oxidizes and loses electrons to its surroundings. So for my science fair project, I studied a process known as electrolysis that actually reverses the effects of rust on iron. And so in electrolysis, what happens is you place two electrodes in an electrolytic solution composed of sodium carbonate. And then you pass current through the solution. And this process actually adds the electrons back to the iron metal. And where do these electrons come from? Well, the electrons come from the water molecules that are actually broken apart in this process. And they also come from what is known as the sacrificial anode. I actually used a piece of iron rebar. And so this iron rebar gives up electrons. It takes electrons from the water and it's giving up its own electrons to the part that needs to rust converted back to iron. And so in this process, you can actually almost turn back time, which is really cool. So why do I want to know anything about this? Why do I care about rust? Well, ever since I was a young child, I enjoyed old things. I like antiques. I like old cars, old tractors. And so in the restoration process of all these things, everything's rusting because it's old, right? So I came across this process in my search for a way to gently remove rust and to preserve the part. That's the important part, is preservation. So for my science fair project, I wanted to know the best way to use electrolysis, and if it was better to use a warm water or cold water. Was it better to use a current level of 1 amp, or was it better to use 3 amps? I wanted to know if the concentration of the electrolyte in the solution, if it mattered. Was it better to use less sodium carbonate or more carbonate? So in my science fair project, I found that warm water and current levels between 2 to 3 amps are actually optimal for rust removal. So I also found that the value of the part that I was removing rust from is what determined what level of current I wanted to use, and because that affects the rate of rust removal and conversion. And if you'd like to know more about this process, please view my science fair poster. I'm excited to share what I've learned with you. Thank you.